everybody. Today we are going to try something different. Jim has been learning how to facet.
Well, for the last year and a half.
And I have been learning how to do cabochon. So today we're going to try to combine it. By our powers combined.
Was I supposed to say that?
Anyway, let's see what happens. So this is a piece of condor agate that I made into a cabochon that is directly from the agate. It just, like, this is the shape it was. And it has this little oopsie right there that is also part of the agate. And Jim and I have been trying to figure out how to collaborate with our independent skills. And so I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool if we could put a faceted gemstone right there? So we're working on it. Look at how pretty that is. Our first step then is to figure out what color stone. The first one Jim is trying is it a garnet, do you think?
It's yag.
No. That's kind of nice. Ooh, that's a really pretty stone. But I'm not, maybe, but I'm not 100%. Okay, how about a clear one?
Okay, how about clear?
Oh, that's really pretty. You know, I like that purpley color. Yeah, you know, maybe like a little bit darker purple.
Okay, what about this citrine? It's at least a darker color.
Actually, that is really pretty. You know what? I like that best.
We need to hide that entire thing. We need to cut that out.
Yeah, well, that's where the stone is going to go, and that's why I thought maybe this would be a really cool place to do it. So Jim has this program.
Gem Cut Studio. There we go.
And this thing is so cool because it used to be that when you were cutting a stone, you would have to have like just a pattern, a paper pattern, and you do all the facets, and then you would have to figure out, you know, you just have to do it and see what it looks like.
We've kind of settled on this teardrop shape.
That teardrop shape is really pretty. This one got a kind of a little grumpy eye thing going on there with those black things.
Whatever you say.
So this program actually takes the light path and it shows you how the light is going to strike it and then what happens to it. And the reason faceting is sparkly at all is because the light bounces around inside the thing. It looks like it's kind of going all down there.
It is.
We might have to look more. It bounces around quite a bit.
So that one goes straight down. When I did it straight down, it goes down, bounces, comes back up again. That has some promise.
The reason that we're worried about the light bouncing around is because usually these things are set so that the pavilion is open to the light, which, you know, if it's set in a 4-prong or 6-prong kind of setting, then the light gets to come in from the bottom as well. But because we're setting it into a stone, then we're concerned that there's actually some kind of light play that's going on that is not coming in from the bottom.
So we need something where we can fire directly down and have it bounce back out the top, so we get some glitter and flash.
Glitter and sparkles.
Glitter and flash. This is an optimizer. When it'll take a design and then all these different renditions of it show what would happen if you change certain angles in small ways. So like the original one is the one that's showing over here, and just to take an extreme difference.
Oh, that one just is a big old blank.
A big old window in the center, yes. Because the way the angles changed, the light bounces differently. And then boom.
That's horrible.
That's horrible, isn't it? But that's the beauty of this optimizer, is you can choose all sorts of different...
Ooh, that one's nice.
That one might be nicer than, for our purposes, than the original.
The bottom line is here that all of this is stuff that Jim does to figure out like the optimum awesomeness for his gemstone. We're looking for a stone that's going to work for the size that we're looking for.
This is Santa Ana Madeira citrine.
Which is a really cool kind of dark color, huh?
Yes, it's a very special shade, really. You'll notice that all of these they're all Santa Ana Madeira, and they have that deep orange color to them. We need to find a piece of rough that is going to have a shape and volume to it that we can actually make the cut from. This portion of the cut, the bottom of it, is the pavilion. This portion on top is the crown. Girdle is simply a separation between the two.
That's usually where the setting goes, right? It's
Exactly.
Just like right at the girdle, and that's why that's important.
Because this is going to be sitting in a rock like that, instead of like that, we almost certainly want something that's relatively light colored.
Ooh, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, that might do the trick.
Yeah, see, it still has that really nice kind of rusty orange, and I know the light will bounce around behind it, so that might be it. Is it big enough?
I think so. I'm going to have to measure it and figure that out.
After a lot of mathy stuff.
Measuring and math, we would end up having to have
pretty much half the stone covered, which just isn't going to work.
Disappointing news after quite a bit of measurement and so on. Oh, we already did that.
Yes, we did. All right, so the deal is this is the one that's going to work better. And I'm kind of excited about it, actually, because I think it's going to be really, really, really cool. So, yay! This is called a pear shape, and look at all those beautiful, beautiful shines in there. And let's show them the light bouncy thing. What is that called?
Light path viewer.
The light path viewer. Yeah, that's it.
What I wanted to do is get this from a top-down view. Fire a ray straight through the table. Bam! Look at that. Comes right back out.
Oh, perfect. So that's what's really necessary for if you are going to embed a gemstone into a stone, is you have to have something where the light's gonna bounce right out of it. So fingers crossed.
I'm gonna do a test cut of the pattern we picked out, but the piece of rough I'm using for the test cut is twice as large as it needs to be. So I'm just gonna cut it down to size. That's all there is to that. This is the piece I cut. And looking at the diagram, the trick is we want to orient it in such a way that the shape of the rough matches the shape of the finished gem. Then the trick is this is on a magnetized base, so I can move it around and I can pinpoint more or less exactly the center of it. This, even though it's a pear shape, comes to a center point in the gem itself, and so obviously I want to have this centered on the rough. So I have it centered the way I want it. Put the actual dot in. A lot of people use wax. I have never been very comfortable with wax. I was really happy when I discovered I could do this with super glue and squeeze out. That will take a while to harden, but I do have a little accelerator, 4 drops. And then I'm going to let that sit overnight, at which point it should be ready to start cutting. And now we put it in the quill. This is a keyed Doppin quill. I have chosen to use a 100 grit topper, or I'm sorry, a 260 grit topper to do the initial rough shaping. If you talk to any faceter, you're going to get as many different opinions on what is the appropriate progression of laps as there are faceters. This is just the one that I'm doing for this stone. Once I got it ground down far enough, I discovered there was a flaw inside the stone up near the top here. However, luckily there's enough depth to the stone that I can just keep grinding down and get past that. I've gone through and polished the pavilion. That kind of mirror surface is what you really want for a polish. Now that it's polished, this is what's called a transfer jig. Put the keyed dop in there, and it will lower down onto a dop that I've got set on the bottom. I think I probably use more super glue than is strictly necessary, but as I've mentioned before, there's all kinds of different techniques. Now you can see the bulge around there. Get a little hardener to drop on it. Boom, boom. Then let it sit for hours. I find that if I only leave it sit for minutes rather than hours, it comes off the dop eventually. And if I leave it there for some hours, then usually it doesn't, and that's a good thing.
What are you doing now?
Oh, I'm just working on the girdle.
You said girdle.
The girdle's where the top and the bottom of the stone meet. It's like the equator. It's kind of the trickiest point of it because we want the girdle to be flat all the way around. And since we did the transfer, the stone is now dopped onto the side that I finished. Any imperfections in how it was mounted to the dop kind of gets magnified or doubled when you do the transfer. So I have to get it aligned properly again, and sometimes that's a little tricky. That's where I am next, and then everything that happens after that is just the same as the pavilion. I just cut the same angles and polish it and take it off the dop. And doing the girdle, there are 7 cuts in order to make sure it's level, and then of course getting it straight is the tricky part. Once you've got it set, then it's pretty good, except for maybe the final polish. Then you really have to tweak.
Well, good luck.
Fun, fun, fun. I have polished all but 6 facets on the crown, but it should be pretty apparent which ones are polished and which aren't. So all I have left to do is to polish those remaining 6 facets, and then I cut and polish the crown, the flat part that goes right on top of the gem. Soak it in acetone to get it off the dop, and it's all done.
All right, then we have to figure out a way to mount it.
See where it's making contact. It's not bad. This is a 90-degree adapter. Now when I run it back up, zoom, 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 zoom. And ta-da! I can now create a flat table on the crown. I dip it in acetone, leave it there for a few hours, and it's finished.
Well, we ended up using super glue to put it in, and honestly, the color kind of disappeared. It was a little bit disappointing. We still need to do some more experimenting. It's still pretty. It's really a pretty pendant, but really wanted to show off that faceting a little bit more. It's kind of like a big hole that's filled with a gemstone. Well, we have to think a little bit more about that. So we soaked the stone out with acetone, and we are going to give this another try, but this time I'm going to paint the interior of the stone. We decided white would give us the most light, so fingers crossed, let's see if it works. See, it really should be showing up just fine, because this is right up against the dark velvet with all the cat hair, sorry about that, and it is showing up just fine. So we think maybe it has something to do with the super glue. We're going to try a different kind of glue as well as painting the interior, so let's see how it goes. So obviously I'm going to have to clean off some of that paint because it's showing around the edges here. But this is what it looks like before the super glue, or before the glue dries. Last time it looked fine until the glue dried, and then we didn't have any color at all, so we'll see what happens this time. But at least I showed you a little bit about what Jim is up to, and I showed you a little bit of our process, and I hope you could appreciate all the hard work. Thanks for coming along. This is Kate from Katie Did. Keep on doing. So this is what we ended up with. It's not perfect, but it's better. And we'll keep working on it. One of these days we'll come up with the perfect solution. Well, that didn't go quite as expected, but that's kind of normal around here. We had a good time anyway.
It was an experiment.
And we learned a lot.
Yeah.
So, next time maybe we'll do something a little bit different and make it work
better.
Even better. Anyway, thanks for coming along. This is Kate from Katie Did.
This is Mr. Did.
Keep on doing.